Charles Spurgeon has rightly said, I have a great need for Christ. I have a great Christ for my need. Truly, beloved, as the days and times are getting unpredictable, and as we are waiting for the next season of life, God is at work in our waiting. We might not see any changes in these times of waiting, particularly through times of difficulty, but through these periods of personal growth, God has His plan and purpose. He wants us to grow through as we go through these difficulties. Why did God allow these testing times in our lives? God can see things that need to be ironed out in our hearts and our lives that would only remain creased and messy if it wasn't for the refining times of waiting. Today, I want to bring before you one example in the Bible where waiting turned out to be worth it. The story of Moses, Caleb, and Joshua waiting in the wilderness in the hope of God's promise. Numbers 14:34 reads, Because your men explored the land for 40 days, you must wander in the wilderness for 40 years, a year for each day, suffering the consequences of your sins. Moses had the responsibility of leading God's people out of Egypt, where they had been oppressed by the Egyptians. He was tasked to bring them to the land that God had promised them. However, after 10 of these 12 spies that scouted out the promised land said they would not be able to take it, Numbers 13:28, all of the Israelites ended up on a 40-year detour in the wilderness because of their lack of faith in God. The Israelites grumbled, wept, and rebelled, longing for their previous life of slavery, rather than trusting Moses to lead them out of the wilderness. They also chose not to listen to the other spies, Caleb and Joshua, when they said they would take the promised land. Numbers 13:30. The miracles that the Lord had done amongst them seemed to be a distant memory. God wanted to destroy the Israelites for their continued contempt of him. Numbers 14:11 to 12. However, Moses interceded for the people and turned the wrath of God away. The Israelites did eventually cross into the promised land after the unbelieving generation that doubted God had died, although Moses would not enter it due to his disobedience. They were led by Caleb and Joshua, who remained loyal to God. In times of waiting, there may be temptation to not to trust that God will do what he has promised. We may want to listen to the many voices around us, which causes us to doubt and instill fear in us, which is not from God. May we have an attitude like Caleb and Joshua, who did not rebel against the Lord, nor place their trust in man, but remained loyal to God, knowing he was with them. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound judgment. So trust him as you wait for his promises to work in your life. Be blessed.